Welcome to session 3 of Smart Start. I am Jarrell Alder from the Division of Student Services and Development, otherwise known as the DSSD, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome and guide you through this afternoon's program. So for persons that were here with us last week and are here again today, we call you our troopers and we say thank you and welcome back. And of course, to persons who are joining us for the very first time, on behalf of the entire DSSD, I say welcome to your first year experience at the UWI St. Augustine campus. So today, we continue our efforts at meeting your informational demands through our FYE program as you prepare to begin your university journey. For those of you that were here with us last week, you would recall that we were given a comprehensive overview and information on student fees. And this was, of course, facilitated by our campus's Senior Financial Manager of Student Accounts, Mrs. Carolyn Gooden. Our last session also featured a guest from the Ministry of Education's Gate Office, Mrs. Stephanie Lovelace, who provided an outline of updated GATE policies and, of course, the process to access this program. Members of our admissions team were also here with us last week, and the team facilitated some very insightful discussions in our breakout room sessions and provided you with guidance on our campus's registration process that will commence in August. So we had quite a full week last week, and we look forward to an even more enriching discussion in today's session. So today is all about forward momentum as we begin the much anticipated countdown to the start of the new academic year. We hope that you are excited as we are to welcome you to the start of the 2021-2022 academic year at the UWI St. Augustine campus. Today, we will begin with a presentation from our very own Dr. Justin Zephyrin, Acting Director of our campus's Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, otherwise known as CETL. And Dr. Zephyrin today will be engaging you on a very timely topic, the whole concept of the online classroom. And he will explore all that we need to know about learning in the digital space. All right, so please ensure that you brace yourself for that information and guidance that Dr. Zephyrin will be sharing. The second half of our program will then be facilitated by Mr. Garth Jones of the admissions team at the UWI St. Augustine campus. Some of you would have met Mr. Jones in our breakout sessions held within the last 2 weeks. Today, Mr. Jones will guide on a number of related student matters as you prepare to start your academic journey with us. So students, today we have 2 main sessions, of which both presents the opportunity for you to participate, as you would be invited as always to direct any questions you have to our presenters by simply turning on your microphones when called upon. As always, we ask that you engage with us in the chat and be sure to take a note of all of the valuable information that will be shared with you. So to get us started, I invite at this time Dr. Justin Zephyrin, who will take us through our first presentation. Over to you, Dr. Zephyrin.
Welcome once again to the first year experience. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. Yeah, I count it a privilege and an honor to just share with you and really engage you as it pertains to the whole concept and experience of remote or online learning at the University of the West Indies. All right. This session hopefully will be very hands-on, very hopefully engaging. I know it's right after lunch, so I know, you know, that syndrome, all right, might be kicking in, but hopefully we can mitigate against that. So this afternoon, we just want to look at learning in the digital world, right, or remote or online learning and what it really means. Now, before that, I have a bit of an icebreaker with some links that you should see in the chat by now. I like to start sessions with a bit of an icebreaker just to kind of, you know, keep things fresh, as it were. So you would see some links in the chat. They're basically the same link, but just in case anybody, to avoid confusion, you should see a link that would take you to a little poll that we have. And please post in the chat if you're unable to see it, and we could try to troubleshoot that for you. All right, so let's get straight into it. So your technology use, all right. So 100% thus far indicated that your technology use has changed between pre-COVID and now. Okay, good, good. That's fair enough. And I would reckon so. I mean, I'm interested to know what kinds of technologies you would, oh, okay, so we have 4%, 8% said no. So you've always been tech savvy, that's what you're saying, right? Okay, change of heart, okay, 100%. Okay, cool. All right, fair enough. So it's between 96 and 100%. All right. And then secondly, are you new to online or remote teaching and learning? Okay, it's changing quickly, boy. Okay, so the majority of you said yes, 63% on average. All right, now it's a quick response thing. So the first 25 to 50 persons to respond, you know, it's counted, right? So, and it's real time, as you can see. So roughly 60%, or we could go and say the majority of you are new to remote or online teaching and learning. Okay. How do you feel, or what do you feel about remote or online teaching and learning? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Somebody said stressed. Okay, stressed. Right, it sucks. Okay, I like the honesty. It's stressful. Okay, good. And I mean good as in, that's not a bad thing. I like that, because now we know what to, and hopefully by the end of this session, you can have different sentiments. So many of you haven't experienced frustration and stress. You're not a fan of it too much, of online learning and that sort of thing. And that's perfectly fine, perfectly fine. Very hard to focus. And I addressed that. That's one of the challenges in online learning. Yeah. You hate it. I'm guessing you prefer face-to-face teaching and learning. You're nervous. Convenient to you at this time. Yes. Yes. It's a lot to learn. Okay, good. It's great. Okay, okay, all right. So it's great. Somebody is very happy about it. Sean in the chat said difficult. Someone said stress, and it can be boring. Okay, definitely. Well, hopefully I'll go out on a limb here and say that, you know, the faculty continue to be trained in making the teaching and learning process more engaging for you. So hopefully that would change things up a bit, and hopefully it would be a more stressful, a less stressful experience. Yeah. Somebody said mixed feelings, you love it. Somebody said they don't like it too much. Okay, fair enough. And good. In the chat, some persons are saying face-to-face, you like that face-to-face contact, right? You feel distant. Some people, okay, good. So I like the sentiments that are being expressed about online teaching and learning. Victoria said, wish I can do my full degree online. All right. Okay, great. One-on-one is lacking. Right. So definitely, Esther, and that is a valid concern. But hopefully it gives some consolation that in our particular campus, faculty are trained in both face-to-face and online instruction. Yeah. So, and of course, they continue to be trained accordingly. So it's a progressive, incremental approach. So just as you are learning about online learning a little bit, they have gone through, most of them have gone through different training offerings and game-based learning. So you might see some of them include Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and some of these games that will make the teaching and learning process a lot more engaging. All right. Or you prefer blended. Somebody prefers blended. Right. It's not the best for practical skill learning. That could be in some contexts, not all. Yeah. There are some things that you could do, like a demonstration and online presentations and so on, student presentations, which you might have to do at some point in time in your UWI experience. All right, so let's not count it all out. But yeah, so hopefully by the end of this session, you get some, you feel a little different about it. All right, what are some of the challenges you encountered in your remote or online learning experiences? I see somebody in the chat, Justin. I like that name, just saying. Very convenient, okay, good. Network problems, distractions, good, good. I mean good as in you're identifying those challenges. Stress, falling asleep during class, good. That you mentioned that. Limited practicality. Distractions and Wi-Fi. Okay, okay. Some persons in the chat are saying power outages, I guess connectivity issues again. Classes tend to be boring or disengaging. Difficulty focusing. Good, distractions even at home. That is a valid concern. Yeah. I stream. So teaching and learning in the online environment sometimes could be a very onerous or stressful or demanding experience. Yeah. But what we want to do in this session is to provide you with some tips, right? Being able to pay attention, focusing, falling asleep during class. Looking to zone out sometime. Thanks for that, Randy. Right, so what we hope to do in this particular session is provide you with some tips. Well, first of all, to explore what we mean by online learning, right? Online teaching and learning. And don't worry, we know some of the concerns, and you've stated some of the concerns, and don't worry, we've got you covered. And by the end of this session, we hope that you will not only know a little more about remote or online teaching and learning, because many of you indicated that you're still new to it. So that means you're still trying to figure it out or still trying to adjust it. But then you'll also learn, identify some of the challenges, which you just did actually. Some of the challenges in virtual learning and so on. And then more than that, how you can overcome those hurdles, right? So we look at tips for success in online learning, and also some of the resources, some of some go-to resources, not just in terms of contacts, but also personnel and departments that are there to help you, such as the DSSD. All right, so we'll get into that in just a bit. So, right, let's get into it, and feel free, guys, to post in the chat. I have the chat here, so I'll be able to respond accordingly. All right, so let's go straight into it. What is remote learning? Yeah, anybody wants to post in the chat or use your mic, what you perceive remote learning to be? Generally speaking, there's no right or wrong answer, just what do you think remote learning is all about, or what stands out to you? What comes to your mind first when you think of remote learning? Learning away from civilization. Okay, okay, okay. School on Zoom. Okay, school on Zoom. I like that you mentioned that, Jamila. One of the things that we look at is the platforms that we use at the UWI St. Augustine campus for online teaching and learning. Somebody, Esther said virtual learning, no face-to-face interaction. Okay. Using the internet. I like this group, using the internet to teach humans. Right, I like that, you know the lingo. Right? Somebody said no socialization, learning in isolation. Okay, so like distant learning kind of thing. Okay, good. Learning in an online setting. So good, we have some idea of it. In this particular context, remote teaching and learning, and I like to say remote in this particular context because it's not necessarily or officially online, but most of your courses and programs will be delivered remotely. And of course, we know why, right? Because of the current dispensation. So really it's teaching and learning that occurs outside of the physical classroom. Yeah. So obviously it's in a virtual space, right? So you're not in like a physical brick and mortar sort of classroom, but it doesn't mean that you're not there in real time. Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a bit. Now, obviously for online teaching and learning or remote teaching and learning, sorry, Kadeem said turning off your mic and video until the class is done. Okay, fair enough. Now, remote teaching and learning occurs in a virtual space, all right? So it's facilitated through technology. So at the very least, what you're going to need for online teaching and learning or remote teaching and learning is a video conferencing platform, right? I think somebody mentioned Zoom, right? You have other platforms such as Google Classroom, such as, I don't know if people still use Skype for the most part, but yeah, you have a couple different alternatives. But in the St. Augustine campus, we use a particular platform called Blackboard Collaborate, or BBC as the acronym goes. Right, Microsoft Teams is another one, definitely, yes. And we also have Microsoft Teams too, right? But Blackboard Collaborate is the primary platform, all right? And I'll go off on a limb here and say that Blackboard Collaborate works best, just so you know, it works best on Google Chrome. So if you have Google Chrome as your browser or search engine, definitely make sure it's, you know, it's a keeper, right? It might work on other platforms, but definitely, I don't think it'll work on Internet Explorer. So for those of you who are still using Internet Explorer, you need to, right? So you'll definitely be using Blackboard Collaborate, which is a video conferencing platform. And then you have what we call an LMS, or a learning management system. A learning management system, just think of that as the online classroom space, right? Blackboard is incorporated in there as well. So once that's your central space for everything in your online or remote class. All right, good. And Jorge said it right, Blackboard Collaborate, not collaboration, and Moodle. Right, Samiha said Edmodo, right, that's another platform, right? We use Moodle, but Edmodo is another platform similar to Moodle. Yes, you're correct. All right, so just keep that in mind, guys. Now, Moodle is another, we use another name for it called My Learning, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'll get to it in just a bit. But My Learning is our branding of Moodle, the university campus's branding of Moodle. All right, just as you have, I know some people are going to laugh at this, just as you have different Android phones, for those of you or those of us who are, you know, Android lovers, you know, you have your Huawei phones, you have your Samsung, you have your, what other phones we have? I don't know if Nokia is still, yeah, I think Nokia is still, yeah, Motorola. You guys could list other phones, Android Master Race. Blue, yes, Blue, I forgot about Blue. Yes, thanks for that as well. So yes, so just as you have different brands of Android, me too. Just as you have different brands for different, for Android phones, you have different names for our Moodle environment. All right, definitely. So now with remote teaching and learning, it can be synchronous or asynchronous or both. Synchronous is real time. So like what we are doing here is real time interaction. Real time, I could see you in the chat and I could respond accordingly. You are hearing me as I'm speaking. You are seeing me as I'm speaking. So that's synchronous. Think of it as synchronous swimming, guys. You know, when everybody is doing the same movement or choreography at the same time. Yeah, you do this, yeah. So Androids have it all, yes, Kadeem. And that's synchronous instruction, right? Or live lectures, that sort of thing. So that's one part of it. Then you also have on the other side, asynchronous delivery, where it's not in real time. So things like discussion forum, where you have to post in a discussion, and then maybe somebody might respond the day after or a couple hours after. Or if this were pre-recording, then you'll be looking at it, but it's not in real time. Yeah, so that's asynchronous. So asynchronous, whereas synchronous is real time, asynchronous is not in real time. So that's a basic distinction between the two. Now, most courses tend to have a conflation of the two, right? Because not everything you can do in real time, not everything you can do asynchronously. So the best courses, best remote courses, which many of the courses you might be doing will have both synchronous and asynchronous elements. Elements that are in real time or live, and then elements that are asynchronous or pre-recorded or not in real time. Now, this is important to note that this is not, that's why I was saying remote instead of online teaching and learning, because in our context, in our university campus context, this is a temporary configuration. It's not going to stay like this. Eventually, when, I don't say things go back to normal because it might be a new normal, but we're doing remote for now. Yeah, think of it like that. So it's a temporary adjustment until things have settled down in this current dispensation. All right, so keep that in mind. The things that you will need in remote teaching and learning or in your remote experience, obviously you're going to have course content. They might be readings, yes, but not just readings. You might have to, videos that you could look at, web pages that you need to go through, Excel spreadsheets and different things that you will, and they could take different forms. So lecture notes, videos, screencasts in some instances, PDFs, you name it, whatever you could think of, that would comprise your course content, right? And that would be a more asynchronous form. If you were to use some of the terms, that would be more asynchronous, right? Because the readings are there and you just have to read them or be updated, become familiar with them at a later point in time. Then we have course activities. So like your discussion forums, you might have quizzes, you might have to submit documents or assignments, yeah? You would, of course, assessments, as I mentioned as well, quizzes and projects and so on. So you would have these things. You might have group presentations that you have to do or individual presentations. So I'm briefing you on all of the above, right? And of course, as I mentioned earlier, you have your conferencing software. For the most part, it's going to be Blackboard Collaborate. In some instances, you might use Zoom, but for the most part, it's going to be Blackboard Collaborate, right? And of course, all of this is going to be made available via the LMS which we call, it's known as Moodle, but we call it My eLearning, yeah? So that's that. Now, My eLearning is tantamount to your remote learning experience. So you want to make sure very early, even ahead of the semester, that you have access to My eLearning. So in order to access My eLearning, you need to have a couple things tweaked. You need to have, you need to be registered for your courses, first of all. And then after that, you need to be financially clear. All right, that's just like to make sure, whatever fees, your administrative fees or your late fees or whatever they might be, you make sure those are cleared. All right, and then you will have access to My eLearning. Now remember, you need access to My eLearning because that's where all your course content is going to be and your assignments and so on. Now, if you encounter any difficulties as it pertains to registration, these are some contacts that you could make note of. All right. Of course, the standard number is 662-2002, and I know the next presenter will probably address some things in this regard. And then, of course, if you have to get financial clearance, so you have some, these different holds and so on, you might need to contact the bursary, and these are some extensions that might be useful to you in that regard. All right. You also have the Division of Student Services and Development, DSSD, and they provide some support for you as well via these extensions. All right. So of course, we're all rooting for you, and we all know this is a teething process for you. And so, and you'll see me go through these support services as we continue. All right. So feel free to contact these numbers, and you can also send emails as well. Yeah, if you worry about these numbers being toll free, yeah, you could also send emails to these persons as well. All right. Well, these departments, sorry. All right. So and I'll go through those later on in the segment. Now, to access My eLearning. Okay, Adrian. Right. So you're unable to access your courses since there's a hold on. Right. So that's an example of, there might be a hold on your account, as you said, might be a financial hold or some other hold, an administrative hold. And yes, you could talk to your advisor, and you could even contact any of these contacts these numbers here, or email the DSSD, or the next presenter will also shed some light on where you can go from there. All right. Okay, so this is the standard link to access My eLearning. Now, you have, no problem, Adrian. Now you have the university homepage, the STA campus homepage, but the more direct link, you know, sometimes like when you're trying to access YouTube, you're not going to go on Google. You're not going to search a Google page and then search for YouTube and then search for your video, right? You probably just want to go straight to YouTube. So this is what this second link is about. mylearning.sta.uwi.edu is the standard link that you're going to use to access my e-learning. All right. Now, we'll go over these things. And now sometimes you might see a little login page, or you could do a standard. You could go to SITS. You could also type SITS, CITS.sta.uwi.edu. All right. And that web page will also have, we should also have, you will see access to my learning there. All right. Of course, you're going to see it on the web page. You just, once you see it, you click on it and it will take you to the home page, the login page, sorry. Josanne, how soon should accessibility be tapped? Right. So once you access, once you are financially cleared, once you registered and you're financially cleared, within 24 hours, you should have access to my e-learning. I want to say within 12 hours. It just depends on when that clearance was done. Yeah. Right. And I see Adrian is being advised as well. Thank you so much. Right. Right. So Jamila, you might probably need to use one of the contacts I shared, or the following presenter facilitator will definitely be able to advise you on that as well. So definitely access, guys. You want to make sure that is ironed out. All right, because that will take away a whole lot of stress in the online learning experience. All right. Sure. This is the direct link. Right now, it may be tweaked a little bit, but this is generally the link. If you find in some instances, in some browsers or in some networks, you may not get through, then you would need to, like I said, go to sits.uwi. Sorry, let me type it in for you, sits.sta.uwi.edu, and that will also take you to the SITS webpage. Now, SITS means Campus IT Services. All right, and they do a lot of, they're the primary source, and you see me reference them later on. They're the primary source for any sort of technical student support you need. All right. Right, how long are classes? Classes tend to be roughly between 2 hours to 3 hours tops. If it's 3 hours, we usually advise that there's a break in between. And yeah, these sessions, we've trained our faculty to make them very engaging. So it's not just going to be a talk fest or a snooze fest. All right. So this is what the login page looks like. Right. So once you get to this page here, you just insert your ID number. Right. You should have all have you should all be in possession of an ID number. It might be 80 something 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 something. That would be your ID number, and then a password. Right. I think your password may be your by default, your date of birth. All right, but you see the instructions there at the bottom of that page, whether it's a staff or student, it'll advise you exactly how to log into the platform. Now, when you log into the platform, you may or may not be prompted to reset your password. All right, keep that in mind. So that is that. Let me just go back a little bit. Now, this STA link is the general STA, and when I say STA, UWI St. Augustine link. All right, and it will take you to all the resources that you need to know, whether it's the online library resources, the banner, even where you have to register and so on, or check your registration status, my learning, and a host of other things as well. So once you log into that, we call it a single sign-on portal. You're going to see that there. You identify your campus, which is St. Augustine, and you enter. Yes, Ariana, most classes are recorded. All right. Unless it's something sensitive, then, you know, but even so, it's still going to be recorded. And so you can access them for review purposes. All right. You may not always be able to download the recordings, but you'll definitely be able to access the recordings. All right. So this is what it looks like. I just wanted to give you an idea of what, and some things to pay attention to. So when you log into your site, you're going to see on the left side here, course overview, and you're going to see all the courses for which you are registered. Now, it's important to note here, once you are not seeing a course here, that means you haven't registered for it. So that's a red flag right there. So once you log into My Learning, you should see all of the courses for which you've registered. Added to that, you will see usually it's at the right side of the page or at the bottom of the page. You're going to see some avenues for help and support. Namely, you're going to see My Learning 101 for students. All students have access to this. This is a demo course. All right. So if you need to know how to navigate through My Learning, or how to submit an assignment, how to use a quiz, how to type in the discussion, how to make a post in a discussion forum, it's all there, and you automatically have access to it once you have access to My Learning. All right, so once you see it there, you just click on it. It may ask you to enroll me. That's just in rare occasions, but you just click enroll me, and that's it. All right. If, however, you cannot find a course, or you're not seeing a course in your, what we call your dashboard, which is this left side here, you might go to the bottom of the screen or the right side of the screen and click search for courses, just to verify that it's there. All right. So that's something that might help you as well. Right. If a student is part-time and unable to attend class, I would recommend that you contact the lecturer promptly. If there's, let's say, for example, a conflict schedule, but you might be working, for example, yeah? And so I would recommend that you alert the lecturer as soon as possible, perhaps by the first, during or by the first class, and you could let the lecturer know via email. It doesn't have to be live like this, but you could let the lecturer know, yeah? And they can put measures in place to ensure that you are up to date, or could provide some tips as well. For presentations, when you have those assessments, sometimes you might have to share your camera or your screen. Well, not your screen, sorry. You'll have to share your screen if it's a PowerPoint presentation. But in some cases, you might be required to share your camera or to open your video. And yes, so, but it's not in all cases. It's in very rare cases. Yeah. Let's say if you have to demonstrate something, you would definitely have to share your, turn on your video. So some of the basic needs, all right? Yes, you need to access reading materials, your lectures, your course content. Yes, definitely. You would also need to, so course content will pertain to your lecturers, your lecture notes, Blackboard or Zoom where necessary, and other resources. But you'd also need to submit assignments, because remember, those are things you're going to be assessed on. So we have things called Turnitin. Turnitin is something that checks for plagiarism. So be very careful, guys. Don't go and copy straight off of Wikipedia. Yeah. But definitely, you want to be mindful of that. The university has very strict policies on plagiarism. Right. In terms of the scheduling of classes each day, that would be, it's not set in stone. Sometimes you might have 2 classes a day. Sometimes it might be 1. Sometimes it might be none. Yeah, so that timetable varies. That is something that you get to have some influence over. Yeah, in terms of, now let me just back up a little bit. Now, most courses, you're going to have a plenary or a lecture session, and you're going to have a tutorial session or practicum or some sort of additional session. All right. Most plenaries or lectures are roughly 2 hours. And then you have a tutorial session. Sometimes it might be right after, or it might be at a subsequent time. All right, so keep that in mind. So it varies. Classes end roughly, they can start as early as, I think, 8:30 or 9 in the morning. And sometimes they can go as late as, let's say, around 7, depending on what time it starts. Yeah, 7, maybe 8. Night, but not too late, not like 10 and 11, and no. You actually make your own timetable, just as you do with like, let's say you come from a secondary school system where you have schedules, or you have a schedule, or you might make up a study timetable. You get to control that as well. Yeah. So sometimes you might have more than one tutorial session, because a tutorial session is usually very small. Usually it's about 15 persons in a session. And that's where you have a tutor who will go through certain exercises with you. So you get to choose. Now there are different tutorial times and you get to choose whichever is convenient to you. So, it's a very learner-centered or student-centered approach. Communication. Now you also need to communicate, not just communicate with your lecturer, but communicate amongst yourselves. And I'll get into that in a little bit, why you need to do that. So this is once you click on a course, I showed you earlier what the login page looks like, what the dashboard looks like, and how to find your courses. And once you click on a course, you're going to see it looks something like this, right? Some links, some headings, some titles. We see, for example, the journal activity or assignment submission platform there. This is a forum here, this green and blue icon. So that'll be like a discussion forum, for example. These are some lecture notes and documents. You would normally find, let me just say this, you would normally find a general announcements forum at the top of your course, along with your course outline or course guide. Now, it's important when you get access to your course that you pay attention to your course outline, because that has all the salient information in terms of your assessments, in terms of the deadlines, in terms of what topics, the curriculum, what topics comprise, and the flow of topics that comprise your online course. In terms of My Learning, it'll be after registration. Some of the main platforms you would need for remote or online learning would be Banner, right? And some of you have already used Banner in terms of registering or applying to the university and getting your ID number and so on. So the next step would be to be registered for your courses and even to view holds. All right, so Banner is the place for you to do that. The second platform that you need to be familiar with is My Learning, which I mentioned earlier, right? So you're going to have access to your courses and your resources and submit assessments and those sorts of things. And then the third platform, it's Blackboard Collaborate, sometimes Zoom, but mainly Blackboard Collaborate. So I tried to simplify it to 3 basic platforms. And technically speaking, Blackboard is incorporated into My Learning. So technically it's 2 platforms you need to be mindful of or use. And yeah, very simple, right? So you don't have to remember a whole bunch of account names and all of that stuff. You just need to remember your ID number, which is usually your username, and whatever password you set your account to. Now, normally 1 password works for all of the platforms. But there are some challenges, as you guys rightfully identified, in online teaching and learning. Yeah. And so we need to be mindful of these. And I know some of you, some of the challenges you mentioned with distractions. Oh, Aliyah, that is a question I think the next presenter will answer for sure. But no, you don't need to go physically for your ID numbers. You would need to, you should get that via email. That is something that is sent to you via email. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Yes, so there are some challenges with online or remote learning. Of course, you guys mentioned a lot. No problem, Aliyah. And we have the feeling of, I mean, yes, distractions to deal with. We have connectivity issues, as I mentioned here, and you guys mentioned in the icebreaker. Sometimes you could feel very overwhelmed, and let me know if I'm wrong, right? But sometimes you could feel overwhelmed by all that is required of you in the online environment and all this work you have to do. Yes, you definitely feel overwhelmed by the whole online. I mean, first of all, it's to get accustomed to online teaching and learning. And then, of course, is the work that needs to be done. So we need to acknowledge that. And of course, motivation. Sometimes you might not be motivated to go and visit your course site. You might not be motivated to, you might feel, you're just so tired, or, or sometimes you log on, but then you go in the kitchen to make a sandwich or have a snack. I would recommend against that because you never know when the lecturer might call on you, and you either have to ask the lecturer to repeat the question, or you kind of respond in a kind of not so good way. All right, the lack of face-to-face interaction, as some of you mentioned. All right, the multiple distractions, again, you guys mentioned that. But one of the things that you want to be mindful of in online teaching and learning: can international students stay in their home countries? Oh, In this remote context, which is a temporary context, yes, because it's remote, right? But when the transition back to face-to-face delivery resumes, then of course you would need to be physically present. All right. So yes, at least for the first semester, as for the foreseeable future, yes. And to access the faculty booklets, you could actually go to the faculty websites. The booklets are now in soft copy as well. Right, access to the library sources. Once you go to that, remember that site I said, sta.uwi.edu. Once you go to that site and you log in into the STA campus, you have access to all platforms, My Learning, the library, and so on. So definitely, your main thing is to get financially cleared and make sure there are no holds on your account. All right. So I was saying, guys, time management, that is a challenge as well, because of course you have so many distractions. You may not always feel to visit your course site, but you need to. And I would recommend visiting it a couple hours a week, almost every day. You know, it's like a relationship. Any valuable relationship, you need to invest time and put some effort into it, especially if you want to succeed in your courses. You would need to put in some effort, not stress out, not, you know, to avoid the frustration and the stress. You want to make sure you visit your course site almost every day, all right? Just to make sure that you're not missing out on any deadlines or any updates and that sort of thing. So some tips, all right? Like I said, visit your course site every day. So I was just saying it, right? You want to visit your course site every day and devote a certain number of hours to it. Now, 1 hour a week is not going to suffice. We know this, right? So a minimum of 6 to 8 hours a week, a minimum. Now there are 7 hours a day, 7 days a week, sorry. So if you give at least 2 hours a day, yeah, sometimes you could do this every day at a certain hour. Yeah, let's say a certain time in it, let's say 6 o'clock in the evening, or later on in the night or early in the morning. Every day, you might want to visit your course site and just stay updated or abreast of all the happenings and so on in your course. Interact with your classmates. Yeah. When you see lecturers post discussion fora, you want to make sure you participate, because sometimes you could be graded on participation as well. All right. Added to that, in some cases, if you are in a particular cohort, you might want to create a WhatsApp group. Now we know WhatsApp group as a thing now, right? So a WhatsApp group I have found works perfectly, especially for graduate studies and so on as well. Because we know that in an online learning environment or context, it's very easy to feel isolated or distant or disconnected. So you want to make sure you have that WhatsApp group if possible to really stay connected and stay engrossed in the course and program and that sort of thing. And you have also an avenue to share, you know, experiences with your cohorts, to advise other cohorts, and they really look out for each other. And what you want to do there is create what we call a community of learners. So you're not just students in a classroom, no. You're a community of learners, so you look out for each other, yeah? Or if someone has a question that they need an urgent response to, having that WhatsApp group is a big help, I'm just saying. So something you could suggest to some of your classmates. Don't procrastinate. In other words, don't stick, as we like to say. All right. Even if you wait until a couple of days before the assignment is due, I recommend try to do bits and pieces along the way. Don't just leave. You don't want like 2 days before the assignment, you're now looking at this thing with fresh eyes, or you're now getting briefed on what the question is and so on. No, you want to make sure you view it in advance. You have an idea of it. You might jot down some points if it's an essay, and you kind of do some research as you lead up to writing the essay, to type in your essay. All right. Again, plagiarism, we are strongly against that. And of course, you want to also ask for help, right? Whether it's through your WhatsApp group, whether it's your lecturer, if you know you're having a clash with your class sessions and so on, or you're unable to deliver at a particular time, then let your lecturer know ahead of time, all right, or as soon as possible. So that way, it doesn't look like you're trying to, you know, yeah? So you definitely want to do that. And of course, make use of the support resources. Make use of those support resources. We have a couple different platforms that will offer support, some of which I mentioned already. All of these I mentioned already for the most part. You have DSSD. They provide support for not just financial things and so on, but also other support things, learning online, and you know, any sort of resources you might need or need to know about, right? DSSD is your friend, right? The health services unit, you know, it's not just about the intellectual capacity development that we're trying to develop at the university. We also, it's your well-being, overall well-being. So if you need counseling, if you need medical attention and so on, let's say when, especially if it when on face-to-face teaching resumes, that is something you might need to so just know that you have the health services unit that you can go to there. Campus IT services, technical support. So you have all-round holistic support. Yeah, I would say that. For technical support, you have campus IT services. And then of course, support even in My Learning, you have My Learning 101 for students, which is a demo course, as I mentioned earlier. Now that course has tutorial videos, tip sheets or user guides, for almost everything in My Learning. So definitely feel free, from the moment you have access to My Learning and you can log in, that's the first course you want to go to. Yeah. Right, Aliyah is asking a very good question. Does anyone have the links for current WhatsApp group chats? So I like to see that. Very good, Aliyah. All right. Because you don't want to do this alone. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say. You don't want to do online learning or remote learning alone. You want to have at least a group, support group and services, whether it's through the university arms, as we have here, and I would say, sorry, not all, and your classmates, your peers, your cohorts, yeah? Capitalize on those things, because that is what makes the online learning experience much more manageable, much more meaningful. There are experiences that you will share with your classmates or your cohorts that you guys will never forget, yeah? So keep that in mind. So above all else, guys, stay motivated, right? Stay on top of things, stay motivated. It may not be easy all the time because remember, it's a degree you're working towards. And so you need to stay motivated and then, and stay connected, stay motivated, stay connected. All right. I'm not sure if Mr. Alder is right. I see. Okay. That any other questions? Because I know you were asking questions along the way.
All right, Dr. Zephyrin, I'm also looking at the chat and I see we have some questions coming in, some things that are directly related and some not so much. But while we take a record of the questions, I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for sharing so much and taking us through this very important topic. I'm really happy that you were also able to show the intersectionality between the virtual learning or online learning, as well as all of the other content that we would have been covering over the last 2 weeks. So students, I'm hoping that from today you have a better appreciation for this support network that we are aiming to create for you at the St. Augustine campus. And you would have heard Dr. Zephyrin mentioning that very important word, support. It was a constant thread, not just in Dr. Zephyrin's presentation, but over the 2-week period. Support, support, support. So that's exactly what we're striving to do. So Dr. Zephyrin would have shared some very, very, very good content with you. Of course, all of this is introductory. Of course, we don't expect you to have everything and remember everything as of today. Orientation is a process of transition, and so we'll definitely capitalize on opportunities where we can have other engagement with you as we go through this transition process together. So Dr. Zephyrin is with us for a few more minutes. So if we have any questions at this time, we'll be happy to facilitate. So Dr. Zephyrin, I guess we can perhaps look through the chat to see if we have any questions coming in. And if persons would want to orally offer their contribution, feel free to use the raise hand feature so that your question can be facilitated. You can be called upon and your question can be facilitated.
I saw, actually, I think, questions are coming, fast and furious. I think I saw someone mention about participation in the classes. Yes, participation is sometimes there's a weighting to participation in some courses. So it would mean that you have to contribute to class discussions, for example, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. And asynchronous might be in my e-learning, a my learning discussion forum, like I showed you earlier. And it might also be in a synchronous session like this, where the lecturer might ask a question of present a case study of some sort, and then you have to now either present on it, talk about it, discuss something, solve the problem if it's a mathematical equation and so on. So definitely participation is key. All right, and it's a weighted, and when I say weighted, it means that it counts towards your final mark in the course. So sometimes participation might be 10% of your final mark.
Thank you for that, Dr. Zephyrin. I also wanted to just add a very quick point. So students, Dr. Zephyrin would have introduced you to the My Learning platform. And for persons who are not familiar, we do have an initiative called UWI Clicks within our first year experience program that deals specifically with the platform. So Dr. Zephyrin would have introduced you to it today. And of course, in the interest of time, he would not have been able to go through all of the features. However, we encourage you to look out for UWI Clicks, those UWI Clicks sessions that would be coming up and that would deal specifically with the My Learning platform and give you a very practical hands-on experience as it relates to how you would go through the various tabs that Dr. Zephyrin would have shared with you. Dr. Zephyrin, I'm also noting that we have some questions as it relates to registration and stuff. And I know that some students would not have been here with us last week, but I also know that Mr. Jones from the admissions team is with us this afternoon as well. So Dr. Zephyrin, before we invite Mr. Jones, I just wanted to ask if you had any closing remarks for very eager students who are logged on with us this afternoon.
Oh, well, we have some key words just to first of all, thank you for having me, and just stay connected, keep things practical, keep it effective, and these are some key words for online teaching and learning. So, be creative. Sometimes you will have, one of the things that the university has moved towards is alternative assessments, and that might require you to, it gives you a little more creativity in terms of, it's not just like, okay, you write an essay and submit it. It might be, you go and do something you produce something, you might, and then come and present on it. Yeah. So, and communication, as I mentioned earlier, stay connected, stay motivated, keep it practical, keep it creative, keep it collaborative. Yeah. And accessibility. Make sure your access is ironed out as soon as possible, because that hinges, everything else hinges on that. All right, so I just want to say thank you once again for having me, and continue to be distinctive, make an impact, all right? And I hope that you enjoy your online or remote learning experience. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zephyrin. I see a student is asking if you are a lecturer for one of our pre-science programs. I'm guessing that Esther is hoping a fun lecturer as you. So I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Zephyrin, for taking the time to share with our students this afternoon. We know that they appreciate it. And students, as always, we are here to support. And as Dr. Zephyrin would have shared with you, we do have a number of resources that you can look forward to coming out of the campus that would help you navigate this online learning experience. So Dr. Zephyrin, thank you again so much for sharing, and we look forward to your continued support. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Garth Jones from the admissions team, who would take us through some pertinent student matters, things that you should know, things that you may not have known, things that you probably should take a note of as we progress very quickly to the start of the academic year. So over to you, Mr. Jones.
Right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Gerald. My name is Mr. Garth Jones. I'm from the admissions office, admission assistant that deals with student matters. I'm just going to go over a brief overview of what is expected of you and how things work now that you are actual students of the university when it comes to student matters. All right, I noticed in the chat in the presentation from Dr. Zephyrin, persons asked about when they can access their email address and stuff like that. This is just a reminder that it'll be active for all students from the 23rd of August. So when the semester actually begins is when you can actually use this email address. It's expected of you to use this email address from now on. This is what you'll be using to contact your lecturers, if you have to contact administration, your faculty, anything like that. All right, and we also send official correspondence back to this email address. So you wouldn't be using Gmail, Yahoo, those kind of things, right? So this is the format of your email address. It'd be your first name dot last name at myue.edu. And to access it in the first instance, you would access it through your UE email portal or the actual portal of the university. The password you're using, which you'll be expected to change once you're logged in, is the whole year, month, day. So in my case, 1981, 10, 03. All right, so you use your whole year, month, day. To make stuff easier for students, we have incorporated a program called the Online Student Request System. You can apply for these two matters right now online. So there's no letters to write, no emails to send. So you can apply if you want to take a leave of absence, or you want to change your enrollment status between part-time and full-time. You can send a request using the Online Student Request System. All right. In the cases of leave of absence, you can take, the university allows a student to take leave of absence for a semester or 2 semesters, all right? And in extreme cases, you can take 2 years, all right? For any reason, medical, personal reasons, financial reasons, stuff like that, right? So these are the 2 matters that matters you can request online. All right, to access the portal, all right, to apply for these matters, this is the steps that you'll take, all right? So you'll be more familiar with this portal once you actually register for your classes and stuff like that, all right? So, and this is also the same platform you'll be using to check for your grades, your exam timetable, stuff like that, right? So you'll be using it on the regular, all right? So these are the steps, as I said. So you'll go into My Secure Area, Student Services and Financial Aid. You click on registration, and when you click on registration, you'd see various options. At the bottom of the page, we'll have these 2. You can apply for application for leave of absence or application for change of status. All right, and once you complete the process, you click Submit at the end. All right. All right, other than the matters that you could apply for online, these are just an example of what you can apply for, or student matters you can apply for through the admissions office. There's a bit more, but most These are the more popular options that you would students would apply for. All right. Application for change of major. If you decide after your first year, hey, I don't feel like I probably want to change to something else, you can write to us and you can change your option or major. You can also add another major, like a double major area or a minor. All right. Application for course, not for credit. Some persons may want to probably attend a class, but they don't want to use it for credit. So it wouldn't affect their degree, the class of degree. So you can apply for a course to be not for credit if you want to as well. In your final year, you want to declare your major and minors. You would also use our office to get that out there. Another popular one, application for exemption or credit. So a lot of persons would have done courses at other institutions, or they may have done certain courses at A level where the faculty allows you exemptions only or exemption credit for particular courses. You'd figure out all this when you go for academic advising in August. All right. So you speak to your academic advisors, they'll advise you, okay, these are the courses you possibly could get credit exemptions for, or exemptions only. And you apply for this through admissions. All right. You could also rescind if you decide to change your mind of anything that you've applied for. You can also rescind those changes. These are some of the options here. And of course, the last one is the audit courses. If you want to probably sit in a class, but you don't want to write the exam, you just want to get some experience in the area, yes, you can do that as well, but you have to apply for it first. All right, so when you're sending your request, this is the person that you would send it. This is your assistant registrar of admissions. And you always send all your requests through the admin account. So the email account I'm seeing at the bottom here, this is who you address it to. When you're sending a request, it needs to be a proper letter or properly structured email. No one-liners, no text messages, stuff like that. So you're writing a letter to this person, address at the top, and you state exactly what you want, your ID number, the faculty that you're in. All right, and of course, leave a contact number in case we need to contact you immediately. All right. Be careful when you're sending these emails. So some persons send these emails through their personal accounts. Try to send it through the email account that I mentioned earlier in the first slides. All right, because we'll be sending back official correspondence to your UE email account, not any Gmail account or any personal accounts. Okay. Now, what students normally inquire is why it takes so long to get an answer from UE for certain matters. All right. A lot of matters have to go through the faculties or different boards before the admissions office can write you or change it on the system for you. Right? So if you're applying for exemption and credit, for example, that goes through at least 2 boards before we could actually make a decision and put it on the system for you and respond to you. So let's give us a little time. So if you apply for exemptions in September, at least give it about a month to a month and a half for you to get an answer. All right, because the faculties have to deliberate first, and then it goes to another committee, and then we actually get it, so we could put it on the system for you. All right, thank you. This is a very short presentation, as there's not much to worry about. If you have any questions, I could answer it now. Anybody wants to speak?
Can someone not register for the foundation courses if they're planning to get exemption from it?
Well, again, I'd suggest that when you go for academic advising, right, they'll let you know then at that point in time if you can get that you can get an exemption for that foundation course. All right. So if they give you an idea, okay, yes, you probably will get it, and apply for the exemption, they'll advise you if to register for it or not at that point in time.
When you're applying for GATE, right, and you are awaiting your transcripts from a certificate course that was completed, what will be the next step after those transcripts are sent to you?
You're applying for GATE. Have you been accepted as yet?
Was accepted,
right,
and applying for GATE, but a certificate course was done and the transcripts were requested. So while awaiting for the transcripts, what is the next step after that?
When I say they requested the transcript, is it Gate who's requested this transcript? I'm trying to work it out. Is it UE that needs the transcript, or is it Gate office that needs the transcript?
Gate needs the transcript.
Okay, well, once that's submitted to them, they'll determine if you can get assistance. But I think they just need to know that you completed the last program. All right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
I received an email a few days ago saying that I have been offered a place in my faculty, but they said that to log into your UWI account to receive the package of the welcome letter, such and whatever else that was there. But when I logged into it, it had on the account. So I'm not sure if to wait or message whoever.
Sorry, when you logged into the system, you're not seeing an offer letter?
No, I'm not seeing the entire package there, but I got the email saying that I got accepted and to go into the account to receive the welcome letter.
Okay. You most likely, if you track your application right now, it'll say offer letter in progress, most likely. So they normally, once a decision goes on, you will get a notification that you've been accepted, and the letter or the offer letter will be generated within a few days. So that's how to keep on tracking it until you get access to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon, and good afternoon to everyone else on the call. Just to clarify, the process for application for specially admitted student is the same?
It's a little different. For special admitted, is a paper application, so it wouldn't you wouldn't apply online and you wouldn't get the access to that portal to get your acceptance letter and all that. It'll be emailed to you directly. When did you apply?
I would have done that in May.
May? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you should be getting an answer soon. The deadline is actually this month for semester 1. So most persons will be getting answers in the month of July, hopefully. Before
No, I
they
was
start
already, sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but I was already accepted. But I want to know in terms of registering for the courses.
Okay, well, registration is the same period for registration for special admitted, postgrad and undergrad students. All right, so from August 23rd, registration will be open. And also by that time, the faculties would post information on orientation and academic advisor. So students would know, okay, what dates I have to go or sign in to get my advice, when the orientation will be going on, stuff like that. All right?
Okay, excellent.
And also, first year experience also will have a lot of activities during that time to help you with the transition into university life. So you'll still have a lot of guidance during that time. All right?
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Do you physically have to go into UWI to apply for your student ID?
No, right? So as of, I think the last 3 years, we have developed a system where you can upload your photo. So you would actually upload in your photos to get your IDs. So once that is available, it's probably mid to late August, the system will be available for you to upload your photos, right? And your ID cards would normally be generated after you get financial clearance. All right, so it's the last step really. You can submit your stuff and wait until you complete your whole process. And once you're financially cleared, they normally print those IDs. Now, because of the COVID situation we're in, the students are not allowed on campus. All right, so we have just held that back for now. They haven't actually stated how they will distribute those IDs as yet. Once the government allows persons to start coming back to school, at that point in time, you will get access to your ID cards. Because right now, campus is off limits. All right?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Jones.
Hi.
As a master's student paying my own way, is it possible for me to start making payments now? I'm scheduled to start in January.
Oh, in January?
In January.
Okay. No, would suggest you do that yet because you wouldn't have selected any courses as yet. Now remember, for this year coming, we're going to start having something called a payment plan. So you'll be paying in pieces. So you're not going to be paying everything or a full fee at the start of the program. So they're going to split it up into 3 payments over 3 months, right? And it'll give you some time to actually get that money in.
Okay,
We'll get more information about that. I think they spoke about that in the last week's session, but the information will be online soon, so you could have an idea how it works. All right, so you're not expected to pay everything in one shot.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Jamila Boris.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. I have 2 questions for you. So a follow-up question for what the girl had asked before, right? Does that same process apply for undergraduate as well?
And it's a process for?
The payment plan process that you
Yes,
were
it's for the whole university, right? Again, this is the first year they're having it. So you could pay is an online payment plan that they piloting this year. And again, in August, early August, they'll have that information online for you to get the details on it. But everyone is expected to use a payment plan now. So you pay in pieces. So we have 3 payments over the first 3 months of the semester. All right, so it makes it a little easier for persons who may not have all the money right away to pay for their tuition, right?
All right, and my second question is that I was trying to log into the registration portal to view my acceptance letter and the entire package, and I had a number of failed attempts at the time, and they told me that my record has been locked. So I don't know what to do.
Is it the registration portal or the application portal? Because 2 different things.
The application portal.
Okay, you can send an email to us, ugapply@sta.uwi.edu, and we could reset that that password for you.
Okay, can you repeat the email for me, please?
ugapply, all common letters, at sta.uwi.edu.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now we also had where you can reset it yourself. So I don't know, are you having problems resetting it using the link at the bottom of the page?
Yeah, well, sort of, because I tried with my original password that I created at first, and they told me that the records were locked. So I wasn't sure what to do.
Okay, I'll send the email, you can check it out for you. That's
Okay,
no
no
problem.
problem. All right, thank you so much.
All right, take care. Stanley?
Good afternoon, sir. I have one question to ask, and the question is regards to the financial clearance. So I want to ask what are the things required to be cleared financially?
Okay, well, this session is about financial clearance. I'm also not from the bursary. But a few things that you need for financial clearance is proof of what you're registered for, your course selection, proof of your payment, right? Whatever, if you paid your compulsory fees and your tuition fees, you put or at least the portion that is expected in the first payment. And if you're Trinidadian, your e-gate application, right?
Thanks.
Again, all these things are available. The information is available online. So when you go into our registration page on university, or you could just go into the university's homepage and type registration on the top, and it could take you to the step to registration. All right, so you'll see exactly what you need to do as you're moving on. We'll update it as time goes on because that information that's posted now is for this academic year. From mid-August to early August, we'll have information concerning the new academic year on, but it's going to be basically the same steps. All right, so you could also just check our website and then have a brochure and see what's expected of you.
All right, thanks.
All right, no problem. All right, Melissa.
Hello.
Hi, okay, go ahead.
Right, good day. Just by way of clarification, wanted to find out which platform do we have to look at in order to find out when academic advising will be. It is the FYE platform.
Okay. That information will be on the registration homepage of the university's website, right? So that's what I'm saying, that you all should get used to that website. So if you go on now, right, it'll have more information about summer registration, because that's what's going on right now, right? Once the new academic year kicks in, you would see more information about 2021, 2022. And when you go into registration, it'll have the 7 steps for registration, and one of them would be academic advisor. So when you click on these sublinks, it will give you more information on your faculty, right? If they're going to be doing drills using Zoom, and they're going to use Microsoft Teams, or if they're going to do it over the phone. So they'll let you know how it's going to work, right? No problem.
Mr. Jones, I just wanted to add a quick comment regarding academic advising and the FYE website. So we have prepared a new student orientation guide that also captures the registration steps within that guide. And of course, that information is available, or that resource is available for students. I just wanted to post that as a reminder, as well as information on the academic advising will also be reflected on our FYE website in due time. All right, so the platforms will be fully updated. So either main platform or FYE website, the information will be readily available. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Jamia?
Good evening. I'd like to ask, if I pay my compulsory fees after student course registration, but I have not paid my tuition fees even after the student payment plan period has ended because I'm awaiting my gate means test rates, will I still have access to my e-learning?
Okay, I wouldn't be able to answer that, but normally if you say you're waiting on the 100% gate basically then.
Well, maybe 100% or 75 depending, whichever, you know?
Okay.
Just in general.
In cases of that, they normally give you provisional occurrence up to a certain point in time, but that information you need to get from the account section of the university. All right, so when you submit your compulsory fees on your gate form indicating that you applied for 100%, at that point in time, they may give you provisional occurrence up to a certain date. Right, but you have to organize that with them, and they would advise you. They wouldn't lock you out or anything. You'll have access to classes in your first month at least. All right, so
thank you.
No problem.
What I really wanted to ask was, well, I got the postgraduate acceptance, but I was trying to send the medical form to either doctor or nurse, well, from what I was seeing on the letter, but I didn't get an acknowledgement. So I don't know if it's because I sent it from my personal email or I have to send it from the student email, which I probably might have to do. But I don't know if there's a way I could check to see if they got it. So I know that was part B of the letter itself. Some of the documents that would be required. I just want to know, I saw the Aviation Management Master's Level 2 is a 1-year course and full-time. I think that was the only option available at this time, I guess, during the COVID period. I'm not too sure. But at any point, can I switch over to part-time, apart from it only being optional as a full-time student?
Right. Once a program is offered part-time or full-time, you have the option of asking to change your option. You can use the OSRS system I spoke about earlier, where you could go online once the registration period is open and indicate that you'd like to change. Or if you're now starting, you could write directly to your office, which is Gray Surgeon Research, and ask to change from now, so that they can make that change before you start your course in September. Okay. All right, that's 1. 2. The health service unit will contact you once they process all the forms, right? Once you use the email address that was indicated on your offer letter or on the website or on the form that you use, they will get to you as soon as possible. As soon as they process it, they'll get back to you. All right. Okay.
Now, the reason I asked the second question would be full-time or part-time, if you could change over, because I was looking at the application to change the status. I think either you were talking about the previous lecture. But I've seen at the bottom this online application is not available to students of the Faculty of Law or postgraduate students.
Okay, if it's not available to you, that means you'll have to put it in writing.
Writing right directly to that person. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Once the program is offered part-time or full-time, right?
Okay.
You have to work that out. Once it is, you can put it in writing and they can make that change for you.
Okay. And registration is not open as yet?
From August 23rd.
23rd of August, okay.
Melanie Benjamin.
Hi, good afternoon. I want to find out about the medical forms. Do we access it online?
Yes. All right. So if you go onto your offer letter now, it should have a link to take you directly to the health service unit's website, and it gives you information on how you have to fill out the medical and the email address that you're using to submit it back to our health service unit for processing.
So are we going to a health center or a private institution to get that?
Your own doctor would fill it out. So it's more just your immunization records they want to get. So you'll get your doctor to fill out their part, you fill out your part on the form, and you scan the document and send it back to our health service unit.
Okay, I heard someone was asking about shots. That is if you have outstanding shots to get or new shots that you may have to get.
Well, it depends on you. So when you get that form and you look at it, and the doctor matches it to your immunization record, you'll indicate which ones that you need to get. Of course, we'll give you more time. That's why we're not pushing for you to submit it right away. You have until the end of October to get it done, because sometimes it may take some time to get these vaccinations, and especially in the times we are now. You may not be able to do it right away. All right, so just follow the instructions, get the forms to them, and again, you have until the end of October to submit.
How do you access your student email?
Okay. Your UE email or your student email account is accessed through the UE portal, all right? So the first time when you log into that portal again, you'd use your UE ID number and your whole date of birth, year, month, day. And through that portal, you'll have access to e-learning. You have access to My Secure Area, which is what you use to register for your courses, check your grades and stuff.
And what if you're not getting access to it?
So you wouldn't have, well, you should have access to it now. Is this your email? You don't have access to it.
I'm not getting access to it when I tried.
Have you locked yourself out or something?
No.
What are you using?
I tried when I got my application form and I tried to log in and it was not going in.
What's it saying when you try to log in?
It's saying it's not, or I forget, I think it says I'm not authorized or something like that.
Well, you would need to access it right away anyway. Again, from August 23rd, right? When they reset the system, everyone should have access to the system using your date of birth, right? So again, you wouldn't need to access anything right now, right? So at that point in time, you could access your your email account and My Security to do your course selections.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Aaron Bain.
Hi, good day. With regard to the selection of our minors, would we be required to use the email I given in the presentation, or were we supposed to apply for that in the application process?
All right, if you're interested in doing a minor, you wouldn't really be picking up those courses until level 2. All right,
Okay.
so at the end of year 1, you'd write to us indicating you'd like to, or your faculty indicating you'd like to pick up a minor in a particular area. And when you go for advising, they'll tell you what courses you need to pick up.
Okay, all right.
So the reason why we ask you to write beforehand, in the case that it has any restrictions for you to register for those courses, because sometimes it may restrict persons who are not registered or for that particular minor. All right. So write us before time so you can put it on the system and you can access your courses for the next academic year.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Esther James.
Hi, good afternoon. What are the shots required to take for the medical?
Well, I can't advise on that one. If you have to visit the health service unit's website and go through what is expected. All right, they'll have it listed.
Okay then, thank you.
All right, no problem.
Hi, still can't get the icon. The person's, did I not say the deferral? The person's name is Janelle Amor.
Okay.
Janelle.
And she hasn't responded?
Well, I sent an email since 2 weeks ago and no response since.
No response?
No.
Okay.
Lennox McWilliams.
Send an email to me.
It is Jones?
Yeah, Jones, right? Jones.
Jones.
All right, so you can send it to me and I'll forward it to the relevant persons. I'll copy you and stuff. All right. Any more questions, anybody?
Yes, sir. When exactly does registration start to end? Does it end at the 23rd August?
Well, it actually starts on the 23rd.
23rd August, and when does it end?
Well, normally the 17th of September, but we're in talks of actually extending that. But for now, aim for that date, because what happens if you wait too long to rest if your classes fill up and you have difficulty getting into it. So try to rest or select your courses early. All right?
Oh, all right.
And so after you've done your virtual orientation and academic advising, you're invited to go onto the website to register for your courses. So everything right now is online. You don't need to come into campus. All right?
All right, thanks.
No problem. Cherise?
Hi, good day.
Hello.
So my question is, where exactly do I find the medical forms that needs to be filled out?
All right. On your offer letter has a link for the
How do I
health service.
so how do I exactly have an offer letter? Because originally I signed up last year and it had like a big mix up with my application and I had to go through like a really long process and I ended up getting a spot in this year. So I have an acceptance letter, but I don't exactly have like an offer package.
It's the same thing. The acceptance letter has the information for the medical or not.
But I just read it through and I've not really seen anything.
It's a 2-page document, so the other side of the letter doesn't have anything about medicals?
Not from what I've seen here.
All right.
It stops at just fees. Fees
Okay.
is the last thing I see.
Okay, what you can do, you could go onto our website and type in HSU or Health Service Unit.
Yeah.
Right, and that takes you to their homepage and it'll have information about the UWI medical there.
Also, if the offer letter is printed on a letter size, you won't get the full thing. So it most likely is on a legal size.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Jones, I just wanted to jump in quickly, just advise that we have time for one more question. I see we have 2 hands up. Maybe we can take these 2 questions, but this will have to be the last 2 questions for the afternoon.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, hello. I sent in my medical form about 2 days ago, and I didn't receive any acknowledgement yet. So I want to know if they do send acknowledgement.
Oh, they will. You didn't give them much time. When they process it, they will give you an answer. All right.
Okay, but how long the processing would take?
Well, I can't advise because I'm not from that office, but I know right now they're involved with COVID vaccines and stuff like that, so they're working on those things as well. So they would be processing those as the weeks go on. All right, so they'll give you an answer probably within the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, thanks, Jarrell. I think that's the last question we had.
Before you go, Mr. Jones, I just wanted to know if you wanted to share any final information or words with students. I know we have a final session in this pre-orientation next week. But before we close, maybe you can share any final bits of information that you'd want students to take a note of.
Okay. From the queries we got today, we have a lot of students who have questions about a wide range of stuff, from financial, academic advising, admission queries, stuff like that. It could be kind of confusing as a new student coming in. What I suggest for everyone here is that you follow the instructions on our website. All corners of the university are trying to update the website to make sure that everyone has that information there to help them with that transition into university life. If you have problems and you're trying to get onto somebody, the web page also has links and a staff directory, so you can get an idea who deals with what's their email address, and send an email out to us and we will respond to you. We're all working from home, trying to remain safe, and we'll try to answer your queries as quickly as possible. All right. So again, I hope you all enjoyed the sessions today. If you have any queries, you can always email us. Again, that'll be admiss@sta.uwi.edu. That's for undergrad queries. And if you have any queries concerning the first year experience, I guess Gerald will have their email address popping up pretty soon. If you have any queries concerning those things or whatever sessions that's coming up. All right. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones, for taking the time to share and for all of our students for engaging. I also want to say thank you to the entire admissions team who would have been providing support via the chat. This concludes the penultimate session of Smart Start. So that means we have one final session in this pre-orientation series carded for next week. Before we close, we are going to, of course, share with you a link for feedback in the chat. We ask that you you complete that survey, provide us with your feedback so that we have a better sense of how to improve future sessions. For persons who would have completed feedback forms in the past, we say thank you. And like I said, we would have just posted that link for you in the chat. So next week, we are going to take you through what happens now that you have this wealth of information. What is orientation going to look like? What are some of the activities coming up? We have faculty orientation. We have some very interesting and new dynamic orientation activities lined up for you as well. Next week will mark the end of June. And so it means that we'll be closer to the start of the academic year in August. And so next week's session is all about preparing you for orientation. Additionally, we will have an extended Q&A segment where we just have one presentation next week. We're going to spend the remaining time really just facilitating your questions. We will strive to have representatives from the GATE office, from our students account section in the bursary, as well as, of course, our admissions team, so that we have a panel of persons that can facilitate your questions. So we ask that between now and then you take a note of all the things that you believe are unresolved, those things that you need clarity on, and join us again next week where we guide you through what's coming up for the orientation process and facilitate your questions during a live Q&A. Again, we say thank you for taking the time to join us. Be sure to continue to connect with us on our FYE website, as well as the support, the student support group that we have created for you guys on Facebook. That's where we'll be able to share real-time information with you as the orientation process unfolds. So look out for our session next week. We have that live Q&A segment. We also have some information for you on orientation that would span from the period July into August. So I want to say thank you again to Dr. Zephyrin and Mr. Jones, and of course the entire admissions team, the entire FYE team for being here, and more importantly to you students for joining us. Thank you, and we'll see you again next week.
We